Hello, everyone. This is Tyree again, Tyree the MC, and I have Gerry with me from Co3 Consulting. Hi, Gerry.
Hello, Tyree. Thank you so much for having me today.
I would love it if you could tell me a little bit about your consulting business and what led you to finding your consulting business.
So Co3 Consulting is actually for co-creating cohesive communities. And in the work that I've been doing for the past 15 years is around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as I started to do this work, I found that the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion, kind of like the beginning parts of it was actually more divisive than bringing people together. And so I wanted to go about finding a different way on how we can actually have these complex conversations and do it in a way where we could co-create and be more cohesive than divisive. And so that pretty much was the beginning part of Co3 Consulting.
So you work with diverse organizations from schools to nonprofits. Can you tell me what are some of the common challenges that leaders face today?
I think some of the common challenges in working with diverse organizations is that, when we break down the word diversity, equity, and inclusion, one of the things that I'm finding is when people talk about inclusion is that what does it really mean? And so, one of the things that I'm finding with diverse organizations is that when they talk about we want to include individuals, I'm finding that the inclusion means just including people that have the same beliefs, have the same ideas, look the same, talk the same, and everything like that. Well, that's not being inclusive. And so the way that I bring the work into diverse communities is through the power of Aloha. Being born and raised in Hawaii, everything that I do is based on Aloha, which a lot of times people have the misunderstanding that Aloha is just a simple greeting. It means so much more than that. It means hello and goodbye, but it also means compassion and empathy and grace. And so when we are working with diverse communities, there's also diverse perspectives, which can find a point of contention. And that's where I lean into that space to bring more grace into the conversations.
Just the spirit of Aloha, how does that work with women's empowerment?
With the spirit of Aloha, it pretty much can go in any direction. Let me just start with the word Aloha. So when we look at the word Aloha, there's actually two words in the Hawaiian language, alo and ha. So alo is forward-facing front or presence, and ha meaning the breath of life. And so when we are engaging in conversations, we are sharing our words through breath. Breath signifies life. Life is sacred. And so should our words be sacred as well too. And it's not just the words that we say to one another, it's also the words that we say to ourselves. And a lot of times for women, we have so many different responsibilities that sometimes it feels overwhelming. And when we feel so overwhelmed, we can feel like, we're not good enough or we have failed. And those words are, it's like these are the words that we speak to ourselves. And, with women empowerment, I feel that sometimes we need to see each other for resilience and the strength that we have, and to also see that not just for ourselves, but for each other as well too. Sometimes with women, we can be mean. We can. We can be mean, and we hold ourselves up to a standard that sometimes it's just not attainable for some. And so it's like, how do we hold space for one another so then that way we can see the beauty and strength in one another and help each other grow instead of bringing each other down. The spirit of Aloha it is finding that grace and that compassion and that empathy for one another in all our phases of our lives. And, you know, as I'm pushing 60, right? It's like, oh my gosh, it's like it's coming up soon. Yeah. And so it's like,
I would have never thought you look amazing.
Thank you, you know, it's taken a while for me to get to this place where I found grace for myself, because I held myself up to standards that I couldn't achieve. And at that point, you know, it's like I would always put myself down. And if I saw another woman that was succeeding, I would have all these different narratives in my head about how she got to that point without even looking at the strength, right? And so, you know, with the spirit of Aloha, I think we can find power within ourselves, so then that way we can share it with each other as well too.
You're totally right. Women can be mean. And I find that I am like mean to myself. And, you know, I used to always, you know, tell my husband, I go, do I look like her? Or, you know, I mean, from physical comparison to career to so many things, you know, and comparison is the thief of joy, is it not?
Yes.
And so if you could give one tangible step to living in the Aloha spirit, what would that be?
One tangible step, you know, well, here's what I can share that I feel is very tangible. So with Aloha, I actually broke it down acronymically, which gives us the opportunity to really practice with ourselves as well as with others. And so Aloha is to ask questions and inquire, to listen with the intention to understand and not judge, observe our somatic response when we are asking questions and listening, to always come from this place of being heart focused, so that way we can adapt, that we all come from different places with different ideas, and acknowledge the fact that, you know, we have many different ways of existing in this world, and each woman in this world is just one piece of the bigger puzzle. And so that's the tangible thing that I have for Aloha, is just the acronym of Aloha.
That's easy to remember when you have something like that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Who have been the most influential women in your life that have helped you feel empowered?
Well, of course, my mom, my mother. It'll be actually on December 11th, it'll be 13 years since she has passed. But she has been the most influential person in my life. My mom she was strict. So where we grew up, we grew up, you know, I was born and raised in Hawaii, and we grew up in the projects. And so we grew up, you know, pretty poor and everything. But my mother, she always would tell us, just because you live in the projects, that doesn't mean that you have to dress like you live in the projects. So she would dress us really nice. My mom was also a woman that would never leave the house without lipstick.
Oh, I can relate.
So even going to the mailbox, right? And she would always say, you never know who you're going to bump into. And
my motto.
Since then, I would always, you know, it's like to make sure that when I leave the house, you know, it's like I look great, because I don't know who I'm going to bump into. And, you know, as I was working on, you know, all of my degrees, my bachelor's, I wish my mom was here when I received my doctorate. But, you know, it's like when I went back to school and I decided to go back to school, and I told her, I said, you know, Mom, one day I'm going to be a doctor. And she's like, you know, she's like, baby girl, I can't wait. Oh my God, I'm going to get all teary-eyed. Because I can't wait for you to be that. Of course, she wasn't able to see it, but I know on that day, whenever I show up, she's there. So
would have gotten along fabulously with her. And I learned that from my grandmother as well. You know, my grandma, you know, same exact thing, you know, even to the mailbox, you know, got to put on your lipstick. And, you know, so, and I get made fun of it a little bit for it, but you know what? That's me, and my grandma taught me that, and take it or leave it, right? It's exactly what I do. And for women
Exactly.
who are in their career and looking for leadership roles to elevate their current positions, other than a good shade of lipstick, what advice would you give them as they prepare to come to the expo to have the tools to have a step up?
One of the things I always share, especially for the young women in my life or women that are just starting their career, is I let them know that it is a challenge. It is a challenge out there. We are, as women, we are up against a lot, especially in a world that is still dominated by men. Is to know who they are, is to stand strong in their faith, and to look for other women that they'll be able to lean on. I always believe that we stand on the shoulder of giants, our mothers and our grandmothers. We wouldn't be here without them. And also, it's like these shoulders are preparing for the next generation to stand upon. And so just to surround yourself with other amazing women who are doing the work, and to have grace for one another.
Oh, exactly. And the Empowering Women's Expo is an excellent way to network and find women who could be part of your tribe and, help excel you to the next step.
It's like you vibe. When you are vibing at a certain level, your tribe will appear.
Yeah. And if, I've totally loved our conversation. And if people can't wait until February to learn more about you and what you do, how do they find out more information about Co3 Consulting?
You can go to my website at co3consulting.net. And then I also have the evolution of aloha.com. And so both websites, you'll be able to see the work that I do. My heart work is what I call it. Definitely hard work, but it is my hard work. And so that's how people will be able to find me. Also at Aloha Dr. G on Instagram.
Are there any final words of encouragement for the women who are attending the expo?
I would say, come on down. Besides having all of these amazing speakers, I know that there's going to be a lot of things. I think there's jewelry that's going to be for sale. There's going to be like makeup, and I'm also going to be, I'm going to have a booth there as well too. So I'm going to be selling my children's book, which is Let's Live Aloha. So if anyone that have little ones, they can come by the booth, and I'm going to be alongside with one of my colleagues who will be selling earrings, and most of her earrings is Polynesian and Pacific Islander influence. So the name of the workshop is Navahine Okamana, which means the power of women.
Oh, I love that. And so when I was Mrs. Oregon American in 2023, my sister queen, she was Miss for Oregon Strong 2023, Calais Garcia. She is of Hawaiian descent. So I'm going to have to make sure that she comes and sees that. And so will you be autographing these books?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm excited about that. Okay, well, you heard it here. You can come and get your autographed children's book and hear all about the spirit of Aloha upcoming for the Empowering Women's Expo coming up in February the 22nd and 23rd in Hillsboro, Oregon.